What's the biggest mistake you think young musicians make trying to make it?
Musically?
Sure.
Not listening. Playing and being too invested in what yourself is doing rather than listening to what the people around you are doing. That's the kiss of death.
Well, hello, Kerry Marx. Thank you so much for being on What's Mine Is Yours.
Hi, Tiffany.
I'm very happy to have you here. And I think I've only had one other person, a part of the Opry, that was on the show. So this is exciting because you have a whole other element to it. But just before we even get diving into all of that, you have played with, I feel like, everybody under the sun. I mean, obviously because of the Opry, but you've recorded on so many different people's albums. You've gone on tours with so many different iconic people. But I first have to ask, out of everybody you've played with on a stage, who was the first person that when you took that stage, you thought, wow, like this is what I do?
Well, I mean, I can go all the way back to the beginning. When I was a kid, I started playing, and I didn't do well in school, and it was a lot more fun being a musician. And even when I was in local bands as a kid, when I was probably 17, I went, you know what, this is about the only thing I really can do. I think I'm going to do this. So that's what happened. But, I've been lucky enough to play with artists that were mostly established. Mm-hmm. It seems like I've played with older artists my whole career. And even now, like I'm playing with guys in their, one guy, he's in his 90s. He's a great artist and he's, on top of it, but he's older. Anyway, seems like I've always played with older artists who were established, and because they already had proven themselves, mm-hmm. Every time they walked on stage, it was obvious that they were the real deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ray Price was the first one.
Okay.
And, Ray was kind of a dour guy, and, he didn't smile a lot. He didn't talk a lot, but people loved him. I mean, he had the thing, mm-hmm. which is something that I've really grown to watch as the years have gone on, because especially the Opry, where we have so many new artists. We have older artists, we have new artists. I mean, we have probably 5 or 6 new artists every week. And so I've become a student of trying to understand what makes that happen. Because some people will come out there and they'll be fantastic. They'll sing great and they'll talk well and they'll move or what. I mean, they just seem to do everything right, and the crowd doesn't seem to care.
Interesting.
And then somebody can come out and not be that good, but there's just something that they have.
Have you noticed that more as of recently?
No, it's always been that way.
Okay.
I mean, this is not politically correct to say, but I'll say that when I first saw Garth Brooks, mm-hmm. I was doing Nashville Now, which was a strip variety show back in this would have been early 90s, late 80s. I was on there with Johnny Cash. Mm-hmm. And so we were like the big act, and Garth Brooks was just starting out, and he was on there, and I watched him, and I went, I don't get it. And then, but
sure,
I did that, but the crowd went completely nuts after he finished. So some people just, it's interesting to, like I say, I'm a student of it, but I haven't really learned anything yet. I haven't figured out why that is.
Like why there's that
I've learned
factor.
That if I think they're great, they're toast. It's not going to happen.
You're like people do not want you to say that they're great.
Yeah. It's like records. I play on demos of records and go, oh my gosh, it's going to be a hit, and then you never hear it again. So.
Well, kind of because what I was saying about why, if you've noticed it more recently than not, because sometimes I think what's happened with, like, say, social media is, like, you could have, like, a great artist take the stage, and like you said, the audience doesn't. They can sing well, they can talk, they can do the whole thing, and then the audience isn't going bananas for them. But I do think some people who have this viral moment online these days, it can kind of, I don't want to say like mask a situation, but like audiences will naturally feel like this is really important. I need to be watching it because it's something that's gone viral online. Mm-hmm. I know that, I mean, I would never say what I mean. We all have different, music is very subjective. So of course there are things out there today that I go, I don't know if I get it, but it doesn't matter what I think because.
Oh, it does, but not in the big picture. I mean, it matters what everybody thinks. That's the point.
Yeah. Well, now talking about the idea of when people hear music director of the Grand Ole Opry Band, that sounds legendary because it is legendary.
I'm only the second one.
What?
I'm only the second one.
Wow. Okay.
I hadn't thought about that before, but I'm only the second one.
I mean, that's because from an outside's perspective, I mean, it's just so like, wow. I mean, the Grand Ole Opry, and then to be the music director of the band. But what does an actual day-to-day look like for someone in those shoes?
Well, it's a little bit different for me because I'm also the guitar player in the band. And so that's really a full-time job. And then music director is really another full-time job. So so a day for me, especially today's a work day. So, I'm pretty busy all day doing something related to the job. But, I'll get up in the morning, and one of the first things I'll do is I'll check texts, emails, a couple other, media ways people get in touch with me and put out any fires that have come along. And then make sure that, like today, I made sure that everything that everybody needs to know for today is set for the artists and the musicians because, I have responsibilities to take care of both. And then I'll go to, there's no show tomorrow, luckily. So I went to Thursday and did the same thing and then started Friday. And so I spent probably 2 hours advancing as far as I could get. And then I've also there's an ACM show that I'm sending a band out. I'm not sending a band out. I'm covering this band going to Vegas for ACM. So I had to work on that some. And then on June 3rd, there's an Opry show at Ole Red, an Opry show at Cat 10, and an Opry show at the Opry House. So that stuff's filtering in. So I kind of go as far as I have time for into the future, get as much done as I can. Then I go back and start learning my parts for the day.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I think I didn't understand, or I didn't ask the last person who was. Do you get just one day to get the material down for the artists that play that night?
Well, I try to get everything to everybody at least the day before.
Okay.
I mean, we work fast.
Yeah, very fast. You have to.
We have to. Because usually, like, we only have 4 shows this week. Usually it's 5 shows a week. And there's, I forget what there are, 10 artists.
I was going to say, what's the average?
8
to 10?
I don't know, whatever there is. We probably have between 15 and 20 songs that we play, maybe 22, something like that. Some of them we may have done before, but a lot of them we haven't. So, so anyway, there's a lot to learn.
Very much.
So I try to get everything in the day before. Hopefully have charts written by then, and then guys can, even though they're working on their stuff for that night, they can look ahead if they have time to the next night.
And another thing that I've always been interested in, because I'm not sure because there are so many different artists throughout the night that you guys learn the material for and you are able to do pretty much on the fly in a sense. When there's a really big artist that's there that night, do they ever bring their own band in, or do you always use the Opry band?
Yeah, no, it depends on, like Opry members have the ability to always bring their band. They can do whatever they want. Like Ringo did the Opry. They let him bring his band. They didn't tell him what he had to do. They let him do what he wanted. So there's a pecking order or whatever. There's clout.
Because what I'm interested in is because she wasn't country, and I went to the show, I don't know, months ago when Sabrina Carpenter came.
Yeah.
Did she use the Opry band, or did she?
She did use the Opry band.
She did.
She was, man. That was I don't want to take a long time talking about one particular thing, but that situation was so cool because she had her songs that she wanted to do, but she had the forethought to think, how could I do this in a way that will honor the Grand Ole Opry? So she changed the production of them a bit to fit what we do.
That is so cool.
And then this is really unusual, but they wanted to rehearse off-site, days
okay.
before. Well, we never do that. We, before we go out, we'll go run each song one time. We'll give an artist for 3 songs, we give them 20 minutes. And a lot of times we don't even use all that time because we knock it out. But they wanted to do real rehearsals and knowing what that level artists' expectations look like. I worked it out to where they actually paid these guys. They ended up doing 2 rehearsals, 2 days, day before and the day before that. And they paid them more than I asked for. And I asked for enough, they were so cool. And then they came and did, their sound check on the day of the show and did the show.
Well, it's funny you actually say that because I actually felt that being there live. That's why I was interested if she used the Opry band, because she mentioned in her speeches like that night, like when she was talking to the audience, how much she wanted to honor the Opry and how important it was, because it was a big deal for her to be like a pop artist and be on that stage, and she wanted to make sure she showed the respect. And now that that aspect behind the scenes too, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it was a big deal to us too. We wanted it to go well for her. So she was going. I remember that part of the deal with the rehearsals was they had a room booked anyway because she went straight from here to New York and did Saturday Night Live the next night.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Now, but now that that's at that level, it's obvious money didn't matter.
Yeah.
They just wanted things to be right. But the teams vary in probably for one thing their ability to do what I need or we need, and then I don't know how to put that diplomatically, except to say that her team wanted everything to be right for her.
Totally.
Like these guys were going to do whatever it took within reason to make things right for her, and that makes a huge difference. I guess all artist reps do that, but
but some have a better ability to, you know what I mean? Just like that's just the name of the game when you're at that level.
Well, and it all comes back to money, and at that level, money just didn't matter.
Yep.
Whatever it took to make her happy, they were willing to pay it.
And also, as music director, I wanted to ask you: do you have the ability? Do you get to handpick the musicians that are on that stage? Do you hire them?
Not really. There's a core Opry band. Most of that band has been there for a while.
Okay.
The steel player's been there longer than me. One of the singers has been there longer than me. And then I started in 2000. So, but we've all been hired as time has gone along. So there's a core group. I've gotten to, since I've been music director, I guess, 8 years now. Next month, May.
Happy anniversary.
April. Thank you. I've got 2 people in the band that I hired.
Okay.
And then there are some new singers, but we have subs. And so to answer your question, the band is a set group of people. There are 2 instruments where one person works a week and then another person works the next. They trade it off because it's really so much work.
Right.
It's hard to do all of them. And I actually encourage them to sub out, to take vacations and take time off because you'll go crazy otherwise. But anyway, we have, because people, and to have musicians like I do at that level, they have other things to do.
For sure.
They have road gigs, they have recording sessions. So I have to be supportive of their outside activities. So we have a whole bevy of subs that we use, and I maybe tailor the sub to a particular night as much as I can.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I guess what I was thinking is like, if say there had to be, someone was like, they quit or there's something else going on, would you be the one to find the replacement?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
There might be a bit of a committee as far as making a commitment, but the ones that I've hired, I've just hired.
Okay. That's cool.
So maybe now there'll be a committee. Maybe I just busted myself.
No. You moved to Nashville. What was it? I believe I read. Was it 1981?
Yeah.
Is that, and it was for Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
Okay. What brought you? Was it that brought you to Nashville? Or,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was in school. I'd been in school in Texas. I was living in Denton, going to school, and then in a roundabout way, because I could read, because I was in school, I got a job with Ray Price, who also lived in Dallas. And so I did that, and through being on the road with him and meeting people from Nashville, I got to know people. And actually, my best friend was in the Ray Price group. I had gotten him the audition for Ray, and then he got hired to move to Nashville to play for Jerry, and then he got me the audition with Jerry. So I always figured I'd end up in New York or L.A. I never intended to move here. Best thing that's ever happened to me, I think. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, but things happen for a reason, and
yeah,
so
and it's worked out pretty well. But I woke up that morning in my waterbed. It's 1981, and the phone was ringing. I reached over and grabbed the phone. Probably rotary dial still. I can't remember. But
I do remember those. Yeah. we had one of those
it
in my
might have
house.
been push button, but it was still as a landline. There weren't cell phones.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was him, and it was my friend, and he said, if you can get down here today, there's auditions, and you'll get one. And so I hung up, called the airlines, put a pair of underwear in my guitar case with my guitar, and went straight to the airport and flew to. Why I put one pair of underwear in my.
Maybe you just needed one. You can turn it inside out. If you were
there is
there
that. So it's 4 days. I mean, the pair I was wearing and then the pair in the underwear, that's 4 days. And so anyway, I flew to town and got, I think I was the next to last audition late in the afternoon. And then he hired me that night, and he wouldn't let me go home. I mean, he was.
You needed to go to the store and get more underwear then.
I had to buy clothes as I went along. I slept on my friend's couch for the first 2 months maybe, and then I got my own apartment. And then about 2 months later, he gave me enough time off to go home and
to get everything
and get my stuff and come back.
What would you say Nashville was like versus what you thought it was going to be like?
I don't know. I think it was probably about like I thought.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say is that because I was in school for jazz, and I'd played a lot of rock music and so forth, and had sort of a different background and different influences than what I assumed people here would have. I actually thought, man, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna kill, because I'm gonna be really different than everybody else. And one of the first things I did was went to a Pam Tillis showcase.
Okay.
Pam was trying to get a deal. That's how long ago this was. And I don't remember who the bass player was, but the drummer was Dave Huff, and the guitar player was Dan Huff.
Okay.
And I watched about 30 minutes and left thinking, man, I'm in trouble. Because Dan, he was probably like 16 or 17 then, and he was so much better even then than I was, that I went, oh, man. So I learned quickly that I was not going to come here and take over.
Did that make you want to be better?
Well, it was pretty depressing, actually. but yeah, of course. I mean, it all makes you want to be better, right? I mean, the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement, they're all important.
Well, I think that's kind of what weans out the weak, though, and the people that want to really be here or not, because I think it could make someone depressed in a sense that they are like, I'm just going to close up shop and just go home. Or, okay, maybe I have something more to learn, and I got to work a little harder.
But remember, I couldn't do anything else, so I was.
That's
stuck.
Right. You were bad at everything else.
Bad at everything else, so I was stuck. So I had to stick with it.
Because I feel like you have been here a while, and you've been able to see things change, and you've worked with a lot of different legends and different musicians. What's the biggest mistake you think young musicians make trying to make it?
Musically?
Sure.
Not listening.
Okay.
Playing and being too invested in what yourself is doing rather than listening to what the people around you are doing. That's the kiss of death. You have to listen to what everybody's doing. You have to become part of the whole.
So like a melting pot?
Yeah. If somebody else if the steel player is stepping out in this area, then you lay back and let him do it, and then you take your moment later, or whatever it is. It's just listening. And backing up to something you just said, I'll just say that both. The biggest mistake you can make is leaving. The number one advice I give people is don't go away. And number two is do everything, whether it's free, whether it sucks, whatever it is.
Sure.
Do it, because we were talking earlier about Broadway. Okay, you go play on Lower Broad, and maybe it's a tough night, but somebody might be out there and they may hear you, and then they go, hey, I've got a free demo session next week. Do you want to do it? You say yes, then you go do it. And then somebody else on the session goes, well, this guy's pretty good. And then they say, well, I've got a session next week, blah, blah, blah. And then it builds. So first of all, you never say no until you're doing so much, you'd start having to weed things out, obviously. But that's the good problem to have. And then number one, you just don't go away, because if you go away, you're done. That's true. Right?
Because someone is always there, I think, to take that spot that you're maybe so willing to give up.
More than one. Yeah. And then there's all the stuff that you would assume, like attitude. I mean, you got to be a nice guy.
Well, that's what my next thing was going to say. If someone had to ask you and you have to choose one, because I know both matter, but if you had to choose one, what do you think matters more, raw talent or being easy to work with?
They both matter. I think they're equally important.
Okay.
And raw talent is kind of it's a little nebulous to me. I mean, raw talent won't get you anywhere, but knowing what to do at the right time will.
Okay.
So the world's full of people with raw talent that can't work because they don't know how to fit in to whatever the musical situation is that they're in. So yeah, between raw talent and getting along is more important, but being musical is the equal.
Well, yeah, I know, because I imagine that, like, if someone is just so difficult to work with, they're not getting the call.
No.
Like, you got to be a bit more of a team player than think you're the best one that's on the stage that's, since sliced bread. That doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. No, there are too many people, right? I mean, there are too many choices here. There's nobody that's so good that people are going to put up with them. Maybe at a high level once they've established themselves in a career.
Sure.
Particularly artists. But in what we do, like in the Opry band. These guys, they're the greatest bunch of people. They all get along. They're all supportive of each other. They're courteous. They show up on time or early. They're earlier than me. I'm like always the one coming in at the last minute. They're always there. They're always prepared. They're friendly. They're I think I said it, supportive of each other. We all have our personality quirks, but generally it's a great bunch of people. And we've had people that we've worked with that didn't share that attitude, and they just didn't last.
Makes sense. So I wrote down a few names that I can't even get into all of them, but this is just a tip of the iceberg of what I saw who you've worked alongside at one point or another. You've worked with icons like Johnny Cash, Taylor Swift, Keith Urban, Shania Twain. Who surprised you? Now, not out of just those names, but who would you say has surprised you the most once you got around them personally?
Probably Cash, and I don't know if surprise is the right term, but when I got called to play with John,
I want to know that story.
I was on the road with him for. I looked it up on Chat GPT, and actually, I joined in September of '89, I think it was, and and then I think I left in September of '91, but I worked with him till the end. I mean, I went and did some great things with him even after I quit the band. I went to New York and did his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony and a Letterman show, and I did the Bob Dylan celebration at Madison Square Gardens. This is like months after I quit. It's like, man, I should have quit a long time ago. But anyway, I'd just gotten off the road, and I was going to really try to stay in town and not take another road gig. And I got this call to go out with him. And, it was a big deal to get that call, but I said, man, I don't think so. I
You
really
said no at first?
I said no, yeah. And so I said, I really want to stay in town. And his PR guy was a friend of mine, and he said, well, just come out and meet him. And so I went out and spent the afternoon with him, just sitting, hanging out, and left with the job.
Wow.
He was really a great human. He was a great guy.
Yeah, what would you say something, because that is just so fascinating to me, like, because that's one of those names that sticks out amongst many names, but that one sticks out. And what would you say there's something that like fans would want to know about him that maybe no one got to see?
He didn't always wear black.
That's a good point. That's a branding situation.
That's a branding situation.
That was a choice.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about that. And he told me this personally. So I assume it's true, but it's so different than the perception.
Uh-huh.
But he told me the reason he wore black initially was because he was in Memphis and he was just getting started. And I guess he got an invitation to do the Opry, or somehow he got an interview with, and I can't remember who the manager of the Opry was at the time. It wasn't. I don't think it was Hal Durham, because that would have been later. This was the 50s. And so he drove from Memphis to Nashville and went to, well, at this point, I don't know where the offices were. Maybe in the Ryman. That's where the shows were. Anyway, whoever this manager was left him sitting in the lobby for 3 hours before he let him in to see him. And it pissed him off so much, he went back to Memphis. He took the job. He took the Opry spot, but he went back. In those days, everything was glitter. It was all rhinestones.
Sure.
Everybody was, you couldn't look at him because
like an Elvis Presley thing.
Yeah. And he said he went home and told his guys, you guys just wear black. We're just going to show it. It was basically a screw you to the Opry.
But I'm going to show up to my funeral feeling instead. We're going to be depressed.
So he and the band showed up wearing black.
So is that the start of the black thing? How interesting. Yeah, I didn't
and
know that.
it really turned into solidarity with Common Man and all the things that were totally true about him. I mean, he was every man's artist. He was exactly what you would think he was.
Okay.
Good and bad, but mostly good. All the bad for him was what he did to himself.
Sure.
Not other people. He was great to other people and for other people.
What was your favorite performance with him? If you had to pick one?
Well, it was probably the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I got to play with everybody.
So
because
cool.
it was a big jam at the end, and I stood next to Keith Richards. Carlos Santana was right here. And it was amazing.
Yeah, that's a pinch me moment. Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you say that's your biggest, wow moment so far of your career, or would you say there's something else?
No, I did Carnegie Hall last month.
Okay.
That was a big deal. That was an Opry thing. The biggest thing career-wise, I believe, was we did, the Opry did Royal Albert Hall in September. As part of our 100th anniversary. And I've been asked to do it before by artists, but I was already booked and could never do it. So we did Royal Albert Hall. We rehearsed in Abbey Road for 4 days before we went there. So that was the pinnacle, I think. I played for more people than that.
Sure.
I think that's only maybe 3,000 seats or
sometimes that's better.
But it doesn't, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
So I think that was the biggest deal. So I was music director and I played guitar. There was a lot
to go into that.
There was a lot that went into that, yeah.
And now speaking of, the amount of performances that you've done and what you've performed for, I know you've played for really big award shows, right? You've played for the CMAs, ACMs, AMAs, what would you say so far has been your most high pressure performance?
They're all high pressure.
They're all high pressure?
I don't know. I don't know. All those shows, they're all pretty nerve wracking.
Okay. What's the difference between, say, an Opry performance versus an award show? The timing?
I'm not sure. That's a, like it again, the number of people in an audience, it almost doesn't really matter. It's if I think ideally your level of enthusiasm, initiative, motivation should be the same no matter what you're doing or who you're playing for. So, if I'd have to dig to think of what it was, but it would be something where I really had to play something that was really hard.
Okay.
And I can't remember what that would have been.
Sure.
But doing that at the Opry is just as nerve wracking as doing it on a
and you do that every night.
Award show. Yeah. Well, I don't have to play things that are really hard.
Sure.
I mean, one thing that I've done is I have other guitar players in the band, and my justification is that because of the music directing thing, I have other responsibilities. I can't spend as much time, so I give those guys. And they're younger; they want to do everything. And at my age, I don't want to do anything. So I just want to get through it. So I don't have to play things really hard that much. But the same thing if it's a club with 15 people in it, it's I get just as nervous doing something hard there as a award show where you're playing literally for millions of people.
Sometimes I think the smaller audiences could be more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because you can see their faces.
Every single one of those highs you can see, can feel it radiating on you. Now, because
and then it's the other thing that maybe it's just me or maybe it's all of us, but I'm generally playing for the people I'm playing with because they're the ones that know whether you can get away with a lot overall. The audience doesn't always hear the bad, or the good for that matter. But the people around you do, and so I end up sort of playing for the approval of those around me more than the approval of.
It makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, because you get to play with so many different people, I mean, brand new artists, more seasoned artists. And we don't get enough spotlights on people who maybe, like you said, that you were like, I think these people are great. Who's probably one of the more underrated artists you've played with that you hope that people would know their name more?
Oh, well, there are a couple today that have careers, but they don't have big careers, and I think they really deserve it. And they're Maggie Rose.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Charlie Worsham.
Okay.
I think they're both great artists. They're great writers. They're, great singers. Charlie's a great guitar player. Their productions are great. Just everything about them, and I just, I really hope the best for them.
Yeah, I was about to say Maggie's been around for a while too. I remember even way before I moved to town. It's been 10 years now that I always had her stuff early on, and very much. Okay.
The thing is. Finding you have to musically you have to fit in whatever the overall mold is at the time, but you can't fit in too much because then nobody notices you. So you have to be a little different, And both of them, I think, they fit in but they're different in a really great way, and I just love to see them take off.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back, obviously, to the Opry. What was the first time you played the Opry? Do you know what year?
I played it with Ray in probably 1980.
Okay.
I mean, that was just as a
sure.
We came to town, played the Opry.
Yeah. Now, from the feeling of being on the Opry stage then versus obviously you're on it so much now, does that feeling from the first time you were on that stage to now, how is it different?
Well, it's really different than them because I had no idea even what was, what it was about.
Okay, so
I wasn't
that's
here.
fair.
But maybe a fairer question would be, what's different between when I joined in 2000 and today?
Okay, yeah.
And there's a lot that's different. The workload is completely different. It used to be our job was pretty much playing for the same older artists every week, for the most part, playing the same songs. They play their hits. They're doing the same songs over and over. We would show up at 6:30 and run through a couple of things in a little room. Then we go out and play the show. Now, you start practicing the day before, and we have hours of rehearsal because there's so many new songs. So that's changed a lot. But the thing that hasn't changed, probably because it's gotten more involved and it's interesting. I mean, it really is an interesting way to make a living, to learn we learn new songs every day, and then they're gone. And other ones take their place, and then they're gone. And this happens hundreds. We did about 240 shows last year. I mean, you do this over and over. The thing that hasn't changed is it's still exciting, it's still interesting, and I'm still nervous every time I walk out.
You really are.
Yeah.
But I think that's really amazing, actually, that you still have that. Like, that it's an immense amount of either, whether it's, I'm sure it's a little bit of everything, respect, admiration, all the things of what it means to take that stage, and the fact that you even still feel nerves, I think is incredible, and keeps it a little exciting, right? Still,
well, that's part of what keeps it exciting. Yeah. I can't remember the exact quote, but there was a quote I heard when I was really young, and it was essentially, the moment that you become content, it's over. And so, and that fair. Certainly has not happened. I mean, I'm not nervous because I'm walking out. A lot of nights, I don't even notice if there's a full house or not. I mean, I hardly look beyond the edge of the stage. I'm nervous because, I want to do well.
Sure.
I want to play well.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's true of all of us. I mean, I can see it on people's faces when they walk out. Some nights are easier than others, sure. and we know we have it. But for the most part, somewhere in the night there's something that you have to really think about and be good at, and it creates nerves, but good nerves.
Yeah. I would say, because I know there's always so much respect for the Opry brand, and a lot of that is going to be credit to you now, since you are the music director. How do you think that you guys do a good job at making every artist feel like, just for even those 15 to 20 minutes, that's their band?
By feeling that way. That's we don't play better for big artists rather than a new artist. We give the same 120, 50, 7%, whatever it is, for everybody. Again, we're playing for ourselves and for our peers and for that artist. And so they're all important. They're all important to us. I mean, talking about nerves, you're more nervous if you're playing, for Jelly Roll or somebody that's Luke Combs or those level artists. You really want it to be good, but we play just as hard and just as as we can for every artist.
Because things are so done pretty quickly, like you said, you learn these, they're out, you learn these, and then they're out. What would you say, in your experience so far at the Opry, has been the craziest last-minute situation you've had to pull off?
I don't know specifically, but during COVID, there were a few times I'd be driving in and I'd get a call that that somebody just tested positive and they weren't going to be there.
Oh, okay, sure,
Either an artist, which means everything changed and we have to make up for it with somebody else, and they pull in another artist last minute and we do it, or their band members can't make it or whatever, and so we have to pull something out of our hat, So it's usually something where last minute. We have had some. We really discourage it for obvious reasons, but we've had last minute song changes that sometimes are valid, and so we're there ready to play, and they go, "Hey, we're not doing that song. We're doing this song," and we're sitting down writing it out.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm thinking about, for me, if I was in that position, I would be a little irritated with that. But that's you just okay.
Yeah. We'll go with you saying that. Okay. No, I mean, here's and I thought of actually probably the best example of what you asked, but everything that we try to do, like getting the material early and learning it early and not having things change last minute, it's really all for the artist. I mean, when you think about it, when it comes down to it, we're trying to do the best we can for the artist. So if you start handicapping us, something's going to come off. Some wheel is going to possibly fall off. I mean, we do pretty darn well at keeping it together no matter what. But we had something a month or so ago where somebody brought their band and I didn't notice that there wasn't a bass player listed. I saw, there's a band, and I assumed. They got there ready to rehearse, and they said, "Where's the bass player?" And so our bass player had to jump out, like literally as they were running the songs, and get out there and play with them. And he's so great, he did it. But that's an example.
It's not ideal.
Here's the big example, and this is the big name drop. But we did we put a band together for this event called Tight End University, which is it's the NFL tight ends have an organization, and it's a charity event they do here every year. It's George Kittle, who's 49ers, and Travis Kelce. And so so it's a big deal. It's at Brooklyn Bowl, and there were, 8 or 10 artists on this thing, and we show up and we're doing the gig, and it's Travis Kelce. So we figure Taylor Swift is going to show up.
Yeah.
And of course she does. And somehow it leaked. Like, I think the ticket sales were decent, and then as soon as it leaked that she was going to be there, it's like the room's just full of young girls, right?
Sure. Not football fans anymore.
So no, not football. But everybody know who George Kittle was. So she was up. There was like an area. Brooklyn Bowl is kind of, well, there's more than one, but the one in Nashville is, it's like a ground floor. Then there's a balcony that wraps all the way around, and she was up in the upper left, which I probably a VIP section. So as we're getting ready to do the last artist of the night, George Kittle came to me and said, "Hey," he said, "Taylor thinks the band's pretty good. She wants to do a song with y'all." And I went, "Man, I don't think so." I said, it's late. I mean, what she want to do? And I can't remember the name of the song. God, it's terrible.
Wait, is this the performance? No, never mind. No, that's not it. Okay, never mind. Keep going.
And he said, she said it's real easy. I went, we don't know it. I said, we better not. And then I said, well, wait a minute. Let me go ask. So I go to the band, go, guys, here's the deal. And about that time, somebody catches my eye, and it's her. And so I go over, and she says, it's a song. It's real simple. It's just, it's G, A minor, and C, And I went, yeah, but where? Right? I mean, it's 3 chords, but where do they happen? And so the production manager was there, and I said, look, give us 10 minutes, and we'll learn it. And so they had a DJ. So they had this DJ do 10 minutes. We all went upstairs. We listened to the song, jotted out a chart, got it printed, copied, went down, did the last artist, and then it was Kane Brown.
So it was that event. Okay.
So, and he brought her out, and we played the song.
Okay, I that's what I was about to say. I was like, was it this event, the one with Kane Brown? I wasn't sure if that was it, and that was it. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, we did it. We did it.
I saw the videos. It happened.
And, man, and you talk about amazing people. She is an amazing person. I mean, she's the #1 artist in the world. She was the nicest, the most complimentary. She went around to each person and hugged them at the end of the thing. She wanted to we took a picture together. I mean, she couldn't have been any better.
Yeah.
But that's the
That's a last minute thing.
Tight end is the right term for
Oh my gosh.
for what we were
Yeah.
at that moment. So that's probably the most last minute big deal event I've ever
Yeah,
had.
I guess when Taylor Swift says she wants to get up there and do a song, that's pretty last minute. Yeah, that's. Can you imagine? You can't just say no, right? I guess you got to kind of.
Well, I did, but
You've said no a few times now.
Yeah,
You're like no to Johnny Cash, no to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But you end up doing it, so.
yeah, and it was great. It came off well.
It did. I mean, the videos it looked like a fun, it looked like a blast.
It was fun.
Because you've been able to see so much evolving in the music industry. I mean, since the 80s to now, what would you say? What's better today and what's worse today?
Well, recording's better today
For sure.
because you can punch in and punch out, and you can try things, and you can, all that makes it better. It also makes it worse because now you have so many choices, and I mean, we get, as far as that part of music today goes, when we get a song to play at the Opry, we ask for stems, and what stems are all the individual tracks, soloed, or just that part, the drums, or,
Isolation of each thing.
Isolation of each thing, right? And so, we've gotten stem folders that have 29 electric guitar parts. Oh my! I mean, you can't hear 29 guitar parts on there. It's like, what do we do with this? So, it's the technology really does make a difference. Things between the 80s and now sound better. Mm-hmm. They're easier to do. As far as the songs go, that's so subjective. I think there's glimpses of musical depth today, but not quite maybe as much as there used to be. There were more story songs in the old days, and maybe a little less formulaic, although there were always formulas. AI is dangerous.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot on this show.
I'm sure you do. It's I love it for if I have a spot on my arm and I go, what is this? That's great. But to write a song, which it can do, or create a production for a song, which it can do. But the problem is it's not real. And so when real musicians start trying to recreate that, and usually when somebody does that, they've listened to it so many times, they're in love with it. A lot of times you just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's impossible because it's not real. So that's, and the fact that it can write is bad, I think.
I think it is bad. Yeah, you're right. I would say probably AI is probably one of our biggest of what's worse today than what it was. Because you talked about the difference of like the storytelling and the music and the depth maybe that is missing or not missing and kind of today. Do you think today's artists are built for longevity the way they once were?
Yeah, I think the artists, let's face it, anybody who does anything, they're built for longevity, right? Mm-hmm. You want to do this for a long time, right? Or turn it into something that you want, just like an artist has their career and they want to turn it into
I just see a turnover much faster today.
The industry doesn't have the longevity.
Oh, okay.
For an
there we go.
I think, it's all part of social media and everything. The attention span today is so short for everything. Artists just don't, it seemed like 30, 40 years ago, and there were more big artists that went up, to the top. Now there's just a few that get up there. There's hardly any that really have longevity because the labels don't. They're looking for something new. I don't know what it is, or the public gets bored with what somebody does.
That's a great point.
So I think longevity is a real problem for artists today, not because of their desire, but because of what the industry and the world is willing to, the time that the world and the industry is willing to give them.
Yeah, I never actually really looked at it that way, and I definitely agree with you on that. That it's not necessarily an artist problem. It's an industry. Mm-hmm. Because I think there's so much of the like wanting to make the money now, do it now, that it's the revolving door because of whatever is hot right now. And I don't think there's a lot of patience or time put into one particular project anymore.
No.
The way it once was.
No, and I think, and again, like I said it earlier, all comes back to money. But, in the old days, labels, maybe this is unfair, but I think in the old days, labels they were willing to take a hit for a while if they believed in somebody.
Yes.
Now, I've seen artists with a number one in the charts lose their deal because for whatever reason, the label decided that they weren't right or whatever. So, and it's got to have something to do with money. The projection,
absolutely.
The projection of not making more, or the projection of, this shiny object over here is going to make us more, or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. And because I know, knowing the artists that you've worked alongside, from all across all genres as well. What would you say the best artists, in your opinion, have in common?
Authenticity.
Okay.
I think the great artists, and I think this goes back to what I was saying about how some people walk on stage and nobody gets it, and somebody else can walk on and everybody gets it. I think it's sincerity or honesty or authenticity or sharing themselves in whatever way. I mean, it's intangible, but I definitely think that's what it is.
What's an artist that sticks out to you that you've worked with where the authenticity just screamed off the page?
Well, Cash.
Cash. Yeah, I was about to say that's probably the one that seems like.
But I mean, there are so many. Whether I've played, James Taylor, right? I mean, there's a guy, that still people love. I saw him in 1970, and he was huge then. He's still huge now, but, he's a guy that's authentic and honest. Not a lot of, bells and whistles and smoke and mirrors, but still people love him.
Yeah. Well, I will say you've had a career that I would say most musicians could only dream of. I mean, the stages you've taken, the things that you've done. What would you say you are most proud of?
Really walking off the Opry stage at night on a really hard night and realizing that everybody up there knocked it out of the park. That's what I'm most proud of.
And I know you were inducted into the South Carolina, the Entertainment and Music Hall of Fame. It had a longer word.
Yeah.
Looking back on that moment, what has that said about you and your career, and how has that changed how you feel?
Well, it gives me some validation, I guess, that I did the right thing. But I mean, it's pretty humbling actually, because I never considered myself to be very good, especially when I lived in South Carolina. So to go back there and to get an honor like this is a pretty amazing thing.
Absolutely. When did that happen?
That was June of 23.
Okay, so not too long ago.
No, 3 years ago.
Amazing. Okay, and I'm going to end with a little bit of a quick rapid fire before we end today. It's not bad. They're pretty good.
No, I'll do terrible at this. Okay.
Okay. Artist who has pushed you the most?
Jerry Reed.
Okay. Favorite guitar you've ever played?
Oh, wow. I have a 1952 Gibson 175.
Okay. One song that you wish you had played on? At this point, you've probably played it, but that you've played on.
Paperback Writer.
Okay.
Any Beatles, just put a Beatles
A
song in
Beatles
there.
song. Okay. And lastly, if a young musician is listening right now, what's the one thing that they need to hear that no one is telling them?
Don't go away. Don't go away. Keep
I like
trying.
I like that you talked about that earlier, because I do agree. I think there's a lot of people who are so quick to say pack up and go home, but it's the opposite. People need to start saying more of don't go anywhere.
Don't go away. I mean, assuming that you figure out at the same time what you need to do when you're here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go away and it's over. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stay, you know, maybe somebody will be nice enough to say, hey, dude, you need to play less. That happened to me. You know, somebody finally said, hey, you don't have to play all the time. You know, there are musical lessons that if you learn them when you get them, then you'll be able to turn it into a career. But if you go away, you're not. So don't go away.
Well, I just thought of one more, because you have played with so many people. Who would somebody that you haven't played for that you would want to?
Oh, well, it's, you know, it would, you know, I'm not too far down the line. There was a point where I thought, man, maybe I could play for James Taylor sometime. I know people in his band, but that's not really, that's almost, you know, not possible, but closer to possible. I would have loved to have done Paul or Ringo.
Sure.
Those would definitely be it.
Well, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And I loved hearing about all of your stories. They're so fascinating and I think so incredible. And you've had an incredible journey and career, and you still are doing a lot of incredible things. So thank you so much for being on What's Mine Is Yours.
Thank you, Tiffany. It was fun.
Good. Well, thank you.